Do you find yourself in a place where you have no idea what's going on in your life? It's like everything's been flipped upside down and it's fell face first onto the ground. Have you been feeling like the world is trying its best to turn you into a narcissist? And for those that know that they're going through spiritual war, do you feel like the enemy's been trying its best to turn you into a narcissist? Do you feel like the things around you have been trying to strip you of the love that you have in your heart? Has been trying to diminish the empathy that you have for others, the compassion that you have for others, just wanting to care for other people besides yourself? I ask this because I've definitely gone through this to where it just seemed like everybody around me flipped script, to keep it simple. Like they switched up. And that was towards the tail end of it. And then I went through a process where I did become a lot more selfish for the reasons of trying to sustain me. I used to be such a giver, and it was hardly ever reciprocated. So much so that the people around me that knew me and loved me, they saw it and they would tell me about it. They would tell me that I needed to become more selfish. People had even suggested to me that I needed to be a little more narcissistic. And I didn't really think much of it, but I do remember over a decade ago, I realized it for myself. And yeah, when you get to a point like that, you are now at a crossroads, because you really need to ask yourself, like, are you really trying to let go of that thing in you that God placed in you for a reason? The love, the empathy, the compassion. Or are you just around the wrong people? And if you are around the wrong people, or you've attracted the wrong types of people, asking yourself, what am I doing to attract these types of people? What am I doing that attracts me to these people and them to me? The types of situations and people that I'm talking about is they are constantly nitpicking who you are as a person, what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and they are constantly trying to implant into you who you should be, how you should move, how you should dress, how you should look, what you should do, what you should like, and things of that sort. But these same people are quick to turn their head and get distracted and focused on something else when you are doing things right and when you're doing things that help them, and when you're doing things that that are, how to put it, supportive to them and their needs. So it's like they don't see the good that you're doing. They only see the bad that you're doing, and they only see that you are not the person that they want you to be. A few months ago, I was having a discussion with a loved one that got to see basically firsthand. They were right there with me as I was going through these major trials and tribulations. And so I was having a discussion with them, and it dawned on me as I was talking to them that it felt like all the people that came up against me, all the people that betrayed me, it was like in a cluster. Um, it seemed like they were attempting to turn me into a narcissist. And part of the way that I was able to get out of the deep depression I was in and to just keep pushing forward was to become more selfish. I'm so happy that I'm in a different place today than I was then, but I have to acknowledge that I'm happy that God is showing me that the enemy was trying to turn me into a selfish person. The enemy wanted to strip me of all the love that I have to give. The enemy wanted me to lose the empathy that I have for others and the compassion that I have for other people. They wanted that gone. And temporarily, and I kept saying it was temporary. I didn't know how long it was going to take, but I knew that the feelings that I was feeling were temporary. And it's because when I got to that fork in the road, I made that decision. I'm not going to let this overtake me and get me to the place of saying, you know what, this is just who I am now. Just basically F the world, and I'm just going to do me, and it's all about me. But during those times, and still somewhat today, I definitely have to put me first, because there's a saying, hold on, there's a plane or something going by. Sounds like two of them. Okay, so there's a saying yes to you is saying no to me. And I do think that I was naturally more of a giver than a taker. There's helicopters and everything going by. Hold on. Okay, so sorry about that. It was just way too loud in the skies around me, so I had to pause the recording. Bringing me back to, if you can relate to anything that I've said in any type of way so far, I would prompt you and or recommend that you ask yourself some of the questions that I ask myself, which is, what am I doing in these situations to attract these people? And also, why are these people, well, why am I so attracted to these people, and why are they so attracted to me? Another one is, had I actually set proper boundaries with these people? Do I even know how to set proper boundaries with these people? And do I currently have proper boundaries with these people? What I will say is, when all of that happened to me, it's like I went from one side of the scale, which was me being a giver, to the total opposite side, which was me only being able to think about myself, my feelings, and how I was going to be able to push through all the betrayal and all the people coming against me at one time with smirks on their faces, and like everybody thought it was funny and cute, and threw shame at me and brought up my past and all of that, even though most of the people, especially the people that knew me personally, they definitely cannot deny that I have been making changes over the years. It may not be full-fledged, or well, it wasn't at the time full-fledged, but it was still progress in the right direction. And yeah, since then I've grown a lot. But I did have to ask myself those questions. And suggest that you do the same. Because when you get to that, here comes another plane, hold on. When you get to that fork in the road, you definitely have yet another question to ask yourself, like I was saying earlier, which is, do you want to just continue being selfish and allowing the narcissism that is developing within you to increase? And do you want to nurture that and let go of the empathy and the compassion and the love that you have in your heart for other people? Or do you need to find that happy medium? For me, I need to find the happy medium. I need to figure out how to love myself enough to set proper boundaries with people. And I have to get back to loving others, but loving the right people in the right way, and making sure from the jump there is reciprocation from both sides. I don't want to be just a taker, and I don't want to be just a giver. It should be giving and taking that each person experiences in their life. I was watching a sermon last night, and it was confirmation, and there was some conviction in there for me. It was a sermon by Bishop T.D. Jakes, and what was it called? Hold on, let me look it up. It's called Making Peace with Your Past. And he touched on a lot of things in that sermon that I could totally agree to. I saw some things in myself that I need to start making changes on now that I've come to this part of my healing process. And God is leading me to make this video because there's others that are going through this. I remember in the video he was talking about how we are not trained in reciprocity when we're young. Oftentimes anyway. And yeah, so we grow up as adults and we're with that me mentality. And though I didn't start out that way, gradually over the time, the enemy was trying to strip me of the love, the compassion, me naturally just being a helper to other people, and those types of things. The enemy was trying to put me in a spot that I didn't belong, nor did I want to be, which was being selfish, being narcissistic. And I fought, and I'm going to keep fighting, because that's not something that I want for myself. That's not something that I want to give to the people that I love. I don't want to be selfish to the people that I love and care about. I don't want to be selfish to the people that actually deserve my kindness, my help, my consideration, my empathy, even sometimes my sympathy. I want to still have that intact. So I'm going to fight to keep that. And I'm going to turn to the Lord to help me with that. As the Lord is helping to heal me, I ask the Lord to heal my heart, heal all the damage that the enemy has placed in me that has turned me more callous when it comes to caring for other people and loving other people. So if you find yourself in a place to where you no longer care if you are hurting other people, or in fact, you enjoy hurting other people and watching them suffer and contributing to them suffering, then just know that you're either on your way to being a narcissist or you're already there. And if that's not something that you want and you see the error in that, then you got to start asking yourself the hard questions and being ready for God to answer. Take all of that to the Lord. Ask yourself and ask God about it. When you ask yourself, for me, when I ask myself, it's so I can start noticing what it is that I'm doing wrong, so then I can take that to the Lord and ask the Lord to help me with it, because I know it's not right and it's not something that I want within myself. I don't want that to be my contribution to the world. So if you are naturally like a giver, empathetic and stuff like that, and you find yourself in a place to where everybody takes, feels like you're dumb or stupid because you're such a giver, and they don't want to give back to you even though they know that you are one of their best supporters, then look into that whole boundaries thing. You more than likely don't have proper boundaries set up. And it's going to be a challenge for you if you've never really set proper boundaries for situations. But it's something that you need to do to help yourself heal and to help you make peace with your past and move forward in a way that's healthy for you and the people around you. So if you find that your cup of life, your energy source is depleted and basically bone dry, it's because there's not enough reciprocation in your relationships and in your life. There's not enough being poured back into you. There's not enough support being given back to you. I'm going to take that as a confirmation. Yeah, and that means that it's time for you to set some boundaries. It's time. Do it for you. Do it for the people that you love and care about, that you are now becoming more callous towards because they are not supporting you the way that you need to be supported. I believe, well, anyway, from my experience, my cup was basically empty. I'd given all that I could give to people, and it seemed like nobody appreciated it, or at least not in the ways that supported me. And what I mean by supported me is supported me in the things that I need support in. Not supporting me in a sense of what the person wanted me to do, and I actually did it. So they gave me a, hurrah, look at you, you did good. Because you did what I wanted you to do, not that. But in who I am, the things that I need. I have a purpose that God has given me. I have a life, wants, and needs as well. There has to be understanding from both sides and reciprocation. I will say that communication is key, but we also need to realize that we all kind of communicate differently. We converse differently. So you also have to take that into account as well, because you can have a long conversation with somebody and you guys still are not understanding each other at all. So you also have to take that into account. Also, when I got to the point of my cup being basically empty and the people that were around me that already wasn't replenishing my cup, so to speak, with reciprocation, I had to then learn how to turn the giving that I was giving to others inwardly, and I needed to fill my own cup. And that's something that I'm going to continue to do, which brings me to self-care. When this all happened, they were pushing self-love, and I have to say that I've always had self-love. It may not look the way that the masses thinks of self-love, but it's there. And I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. And I love me and my greatness as well as me and my flaws. All of me. And yeah, but there was some neglect there, some self-neglect, because I was busy catering to other people and giving outwardly, giving to others. So when my cup was empty, I had to learn how to replenish my cup, because without that, the state that I was in, I didn't feel like I could go on. So I allowed God into my life, and I've been building a relationship with him ever since. And it's like me putting into my cup, God putting into my cup, God putting into my cup, me putting into my cup. And now I do have a guard or boundaries around my cup. I'm not just pouring out of my cup to any and everybody. And as I go through this healing process, I've asked God to help me to learn how to pour into other people's cup again, but the right way, in a healthy way, for me and them. And that's real, because if you're just pouring into someone's cup in an unhealthy way, they get used to that. They are now anticipating and manipulating situations to get you to pour into their cup. Meanwhile, they're not even considering or concerned about pouring into your cup. And that's not healthy for you or them. Yeah, so basically, ask the Lord to lead you in the giving that you put out to others, what you pour out. Ask the Lord to lead you in that. And that will help you to set boundaries and to make sure that your cup stays where it needs to stay and it's being replenished. And if people are not willing to reciprocate, then take that to the Lord, you know? Take that to the Lord, and he'll help guide you through what to do in whatever situation or circumstances that you find yourself in. I believe I basically talked about what was needed. And yeah, if you feel like the world and or the enemy has been trying to turn you into a narcissist, then take it to the Lord. Ask yourself those hard questions. Do you have proper boundaries set up in place for people to get close enough to you to penetrate your love and compassion and empathy and destroy it from the inside? And if it has been damaged, are you willing to do the healing that, or do the things that you need to do to heal? Are you setting proper boundaries and holding true to those boundaries? Are you too flexible? Just really start asking yourself some hard questions so you can figure out what it is that you're doing that may be an open door to letting the enemy into your life, and or letting the enemy have these how to put it, opportunities to take jabs at the love that you have in your heart for yourself and other people. We have to learn how to close these doors, because us not doing that and us just sweeping things under the rug and slowly but surely becoming more and more selfish is a great way to destroy who we are, our purpose, and the people around us. So this is something that I'm working on within myself, and God has prompted me to make a video on it because I'm living this situation out right now, and He has brought me to the part of my healing to where I can now talk about it in a productive way and not just from a place of hurt and disappointment. So I hope someone can get something out of this. I hope a lot of people can get a lot out of this, or anything out of this, really. Because all I want to do is help others to change in a positive way and become better versions of themselves so we can live out God's purpose. Well, just remember that Jesus is our Lord and Savior. God loves you. Even though sometimes you may feel like He's forgotten about you, or you may be looking at things wrong and feels like He's mad at you, and the enemy definitely has a way of making people feel like they're not worthy of God, or God is angry with them, or God has shunned them. And that's just not the case. We just don't see things the way that God sees things. Nonetheless, take all your worries to the Lord. Stay prayed up. Realize spiritual warfare is real. And don't let the enemy change you.